It really could not have been any other game. Bruins friends, it is time to hug it out. Because that is a 5-3 victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Welcome back down into the den, everybody. Quick thing. I got a green screen now. We're not going to be using the green screen today. Because my bedroom is not really conducive to a great green screen setup. Who knows? I might be able to finagle something, but right now, that's not really in the cards. But this game, oh, you know that Steve Dangle's LFR is going to be amazing tonight. It was going to be three things. First of all, you knew that David Pastrnak was going to score his 400th goal in this game. That was non-negotiable. David Pastrnak was going to score 400 in this game. Number two, you knew that either Alex Steeves or Fraser Minten was scoring, because every single time the Bruins play the Leafs, there has to be a goal from a former Leafs player. Last game it was Fraser Minten. This game it was Alex Steeves. So you knew that it was going to be one of those two players. And number three, you knew that someone was going to try and kill someone. Particularly, the Leafs players were going to try and kill Nikita Zadorov. And I'm not going to lie, they had decent reason to. If I was on the Leafs and I saw Zadorov lay that hit on Lorentz last game, I would have tried to kill someone. And for what it's worth, all of that happened. This is actually a very easy game to talk about. They gave us a gift tonight. Because this game, while very fun, it's also pretty understandable how it happened. Because of a lot of what you expect to have happened. There was the Bruins starting out by giving up a goal on the first three shots of the game. Chalk that up on another one on Anderson's list. And on top of that, chalk that up as the third game in a row that the Bruins have allowed a goal on the first shot of the game. And to add insult to injury, this was a shorthanded goal. And yeah, this was... I mean, Steven Lorentz is probably one of the best players on the Leafs right now, which is terrifying for that team. That is not a position that you want to be in, where Steven Lorentz is one of your best players. Now, he's not one of the best talent-wise, but he's basically that locker room's Nick Foligno. He is the glue that holds together a lot of that team. And a shorthanded goal is how you hold together that team. Unfortunately for the Leafs, it doesn't really last that long. Pasta with a really nice shot that redirects off of Zacha's stick and past Anthony Stolarz, and that's your 1-0 goal. And then Alex Steeves with an absolute laser right through the 5-hole of Stolarz, and that's 2-0. And then the Lorentz goal happens, but it's 3-1 by the end of the first. And this is when you know what's going to happen. You know that because of how he's been playing, and also because he ends up sustaining an upper body injury, Stolarz is out for the rest of the game. So they're bringing in Hildeby for the second time in 2 games against the Bruins. And yes, this one is more so spurred on by injury, but at the same time, that's really concerning from the Leafs to have to bring in your backup goalie twice in 2 games against the Bruins. And the entire time, the Leafs' defense just looked completely feckless. Now, for what it's worth, the Bruins' defense did not look great as well. There were a couple shots that got past Swayman, although, for what it's worth, it was more so on Swayman. The Oliver Ekman-Larsson goal should not have happened. That was one that, Swayman, you gotta be square to that. Shame on you, but you end up being the better goalie tonight. Although I do think that if Dennis Hildeby was in net for the entire game, this pretty easily could have been a 3-3 affair that goes to overtime, and the Bruins maybe just barely eke it out there. Hildeby is having a really good start to this season. Leafs fans should be happy with Hildeby's effort. Definitely not happy with the outcome. They should be happy with his effort. Hildeby is a goaltender that if the Bruins were facing the whole night, it would be a little bit more even. But at the same time, he ends up getting absolutely vaporized. David Pastrnak with a complete breakaway because, I mean, the Leafs defense is as soft and porous as Swiss cheese. He goes right up to Hildeby and says, "Give me your fucking jockstrap," and like Philippe Myers, and like he did to Philippe Myers in the last game, he just right crushes them in his grip. And that is how he scores 400. And it's a 4-1 game. And then the Bruins let their foot off the gas. And it's a little bit frustrating. A lot of it is just, okay, we have a 3-goal lead, let's not blow it. And then, but being so adamant about not blowing this 3-goal lead kind of leads the Bruins into almost blowing that 3-goal lead, if you catch my drift. They're so worried about not losing the game that they forgot how to win the game for a little bit. And the Bruins were in that situation for a little bit. But that's also because everyone was going to the box for everything. And I suppose this is what happens when you get Zdeno Chara in the Bruins press box for the game. God bless Big Z. We love you. You will always be cherished in Boston. It all starts with a really big hit from Nikita Zadorov on Austin Matthews. And Matthews ends up going down the tunnel later after his shift, which he finishes out his shift by trying to do the same to Zadorov. What a captainly thing to do. Focus way too hard on leveling that playing field instead of actually leading your team to victory. I guess it kind of makes sense with how much the Leafs are trying to emulate the Bruins in terms of piss and vinegar, but it's just not in the cards for the Leafs. It's not in the cards for the Leafs, and it never will be as long as Matthews is captain. He's not the type of player to actually drop the gloves. He's not the type of player to actually get in anyone's face. And for what it's worth, you don't entirely want your captain to do that, because the more time your captain spends in the penalty box, that says a little bit more about you than it does about the teams you're going up against. But Matthews goes down the tunnel, and he's not seen for the rest of the game. And this sparks a chain reaction of shenanigans after pretty much every whistle. And even before every whistle. Bobby McMann checks the shit out of Hampus Lindholm. And I'm just like, if the Zadorov hit on Matthews is not going to get penalized, I don't see why this one gets penalized. Like, that's sort of how you do that. Like, makeup calls absolutely do exist in the NHL. Let's not kid ourselves. This was a makeup call, or rather a makeup non-call. But that wasn't enough for the Leafs for their pound of flesh, because Max Domi tries to give Zadorov what for, which, by the way, can we just talk about how hilarious the fall from grace Max Domi has had? This man 2 years ago was the top line winger for the Leafs. The dude looks like he should be a healthy scratch, and is only ever being played on the fourth line. Here's an idea. Steve Dangle, if you end up watching this, first of all, thank you so much for watching this. I love your content. You're the guy that got me into doing this. But second of all, I gotta ask, Nice Matthew Domi. Why not? Just one shift like that. See if it doesn't re-spark something in Domi. But Domi sheds the gloves and tries to go ham on Zadorov. Zadorov is pretty much just standing there like,
"You puny weakling."
And he just falls down on Domi. And that ends the fight. He doesn't even shed the gloves, so Domi is the one that gets the 2 minutes for roughing. And it's kind of funny how much he wanted the smoke. And then he got the smoke. He got absolutely smoked. Oh, and let's also not forget the majesty that was the bomb of a shot off of Jeremy Swayman's mask and it just falls off his head, and he makes the Shaq Hot Ones face. Like, this man was terrified. This is the most rattled that I've ever seen Jeremy Swayman in his life. Hang this picture in the Louvre. Hang it in the Louvre. Like, this was a vintage Boston Bruins Toronto Maple Leafs matchup. And what better way to end this than the Bruins constantly trying to feed Pastrnak on the empty netter to not only put in his third goal of the night for the hat trick, but also to tie Rick Middleton at 402 goals for 5th all-time for the Bruins. Now, he's going to tie that eventually, and also surpass it. It is my most sincere conviction that by the end of his career, and likely within the next 4, David Pastrnak will surpass Johnny Bucyk for most goals all-time in Boston Bruins history. And he's getting into the Hall. You know he's getting it. Barring any freak injury, I feel like that is within the cards for Pastrnak. And this was just a great way to end Veterans Day. Salute you all. We're in weird territory. We're in very weird territory. The Bruins have been a 3-game winning streak, then losing 7 of 8, and now they've won their last 7. I'm sorry, what? This hockey team, with a roster that we said was going to be one of the worst that the Bruins have iced in recent history, this hockey team has won 7 in a row? What? Are you, that's not a typo? 7 in a row. Well, I'll be damned. And that is going to be it for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.